Hey friends, welcome back to another Wellness Wednesday. This is just going to be a check-in. I don't have any huge thoughts or epiphanies or anything like that to share. Just wanted to sit down and actually get a Wellness Wednesday in and just kind of give you probably a rambly update on how I'm doing with my exercise and with my eating. So as far as exercise, I have been sharing a little bit about that over on my Tuesday coffee chats with Lindsay and just kind of sharing my journey with that. But basically, I started out doing an exercise program. It has ended now. It was a 40-day program, so I started it a little over 40 days ago. And I was pretty consistent with that program for the first 4 weeks. And I just got to the point where I was honestly super bored with the style of workout. And I 100% call this my problem. It's not anything to do with the workout program itself. It's just that I get bored super easily. So this program wasn't yoga sessions, but I was going to say long yoga sessions bore me. Just weight training, just really repetitively, it kind of bores me. And so I know it's really important that I need to kind of just get over it and do it. But I was able to find some other workouts, some older workouts that I had, like my old DVD collection of exercise videos that I have gotten over the years, accumulated over the years. And there's just some that just resonate with me and I just really enjoy them. And they actually, because of the way they're created and styled or whatever, I end up working harder and I don't get bored and I actually enjoy it. And so it's kind of the same thing as with diet for me. It's like if I don't enjoy it, enjoyment is a really important piece of healthy lifestyle for me. I'm not like a robot that's just like, oh, this is what I have to eat and do to be healthy. Therefore, I will do that emotionless and end with perfect health. I kind of had to accept at some point that I am human and that enjoyment and pleasure is really an important piece to any lifestyle changes that I make if I want them to stick. And so I transitioned from this, scheduled workout program that I started with that I wasn't really enjoying to more exercise that I enjoyed. And I've been consistent with it. That's been the number one thing that I was wanting through starting this exercise program, to start being consistent with exercise again. And I have been. So that has been a huge success. I've really, really been enjoying it. And I have been doing a wide variety of different kinds of workouts. I have kickboxing workouts that also incorporate HIIT training. I have some heavy weightlifting workouts. I have more stretching. I also have the Down Dog yoga app that I've talked about before that I really, really do love. I can only do maybe 25 minutes at the most, but typically I'm doing 20 minutes or 15 minutes. And I enjoy that. Any longer than that, and I just get bored out of my mind. But so I have a whole variety of types of workouts. Oh, dance workout is another one that I would never do in front of people. I'm not a dancer. That's not my gifting in life. But when I can close my bedroom door and turn it on and just kind of dance like nobody's watching, because nobody is watching, it's actually really fun and really motivating to work hard and get a little bit of a sweat on. And, the coordination, there's so many benefits to it besides just burning calories. It's funny because these workout videos, they're, I don't know, 20 years old, maybe some of them. And so there's all this talk about if you reach higher, you'll burn more calories. If you get your knees up, think of all the calories it's burning. And I'm just like, oh no, that is so not my mindset about this at all. But that was the mindset and still oftentimes is the mindset with different workout programs. So it's been kind of interesting to watch that dynamic, being that I'm so far removed from it. When I got those workout programs, I don't know how many years ago, I was more in that mindset. And so it's been interesting to kind of notice the changes in myself and just kind of as an observer see the way the mindset is behind this. It's just been interesting. Another big difference for me in starting these workout programs versus when I've done them in years past is they always came with an expectation of weight loss, or like you do this in order to lose weight. And I've really made this transition a lot in my diet, where I don't eat the diet that I eat these days for weight loss. Like there are times where I do try to focus on weight loss a little bit more, but overall, I don't choose to eat the way I eat with weight loss as like the number one goal, or even like as an expected thing to happen, just because of where I'm at in my weight loss journey. And it's just, I just know that the way that I eat as, my baseline diet, it doesn't equal weight loss for me. I do it for other reasons. So with the workouts I'm doing, it is the same thing. I am not doing it with the expectation of weight loss. And actually, one thing that I have learned over the years of trying to use exercise for weight loss is that typically my body does not respond to exercise with weight loss. That's just not what happens with my body. I tend to actually gain weight when I exercise. And obviously we know that gaining muscle increases weight. And then on top of that, things like water weight from you being sore and, doing all that extra work, like the inflammation that can cause weight on the scale. But on top of that, I also gain fat when I start exercising a lot more heavily. And there was a really interesting study, and if I can find like a blog post or something about it, I will put it down in the description. But it's something that Dr. Jade Teta talks about. There was a study done on some women where they put them on an exercise regimen, and they studied, I really should have looked at it before I started talking, but they basically like just saw how their weight changed as they added in exercise. And there was a really, really small percentage, like very small percentage, that actually just lost weight from adding in exercise. There was another group that just maintained their weight as they added in exercise. And then there was a bigger group than you would expect that actually gained weight when they exercised. And there can be lots of reasons for this, but one that is really real and really true is that when you exercise, it stimulates your appetite, and it can stimulate it to such a degree that you overshoot, just eating back the calories that you burned. You'd think, oh, if I exercise more, it'll stimulate my appetite, but I'll just eat the amount of calories that I burned. And then, I'll keep, things will stay even. But oftentimes the appetite is stimulated in such a way that it actually overshoots. And then there's the mental thing on top of that, where it's like, oh, I worked out. I, can afford to indulge in whatever. And I don't feel like I am very susceptible to that anymore, at least not that mental part of it. Because of my experience with gaining weight alongside exercise, I don't feel like I can afford it. Like that's just not something that's in my mind. But I do think that my appetite is stimulated more. I have definitely felt that. And like I told you in another video, I think it was another Wellness Wednesday, I started using an app called Me360. And just instead of only having a weight scale to measure on, this gives you just one more metric, basically. You set up your phone and you take pictures of yourself in like tight clothes, and it tells you exactly how to stand. And then it gives you like a 3D rendering of your body, and it gives you your measurements. So it'll tell you your waist and your hips and all of that. And then also your body fat percentage and your lean mass and stuff like that. No clue, again, like I said before, no clue how accurate that is. But I just figured if I used it as another metric, and I'm, as long as you're comparing the data to the data you get, from the same app, hopefully it's telling you what kind of progress you're making, if you're making progress one direction or another. So I'm using that, and I have seen my body fat percentage go down each time I have taken a new measurement, which I try to do like once a week. But my weight has also gone up to the point where I'm pretty certain I've gained some fat as well. Like, so definitely I think I've gained some muscle, which is great, and enough that my body fat percentage is like inching down a little bit. But I have gained fat too. And so it's just like, I had to go through, and I went through this quite a long time ago, just the idea of fat loss directly related to exercise, especially when you're just starting. So anyways, all of that stuff, I knew that going into adding more exercise, but on top of that, I know that exercise is healthy for my body, whether it causes me to gain some fat or not. And the importance of muscle as we age, that's something that's super important to me. And it's been on my mind for a long time. Like, I just really need to tackle this. I need to figure out a way to get more structured exercise, and especially weight training into my life as I'm getting older. It's been really good to experience what it's like to exercise with the expectation that I'm going to gain weight. Like, not just that I'm not going to necessarily, it's not going to be the thing that makes me skinny, but I am going into it and I'm doing it and watching as my body is gaining weight, and I'm like working on being okay with that. And just like pushing through, knowing that the end result is going to be better than these momentary, like, the number on the scale or anything like that. So that's what I've been working on with the exercise, and I really have been enjoying it. I think there have been, times in years past where I would start an exercise program and I would be enjoying it, but then the negative feeling that I would get from seeing the number on the scale go up, or seeing, because what would happen before is, like, I'm trying to stay on this really strict diet, and my appetite goes way up when I start exercising. So it makes me like fall off the wagon, so to speak. And so, like, there was all these negative things around the exercise. So for this time, appreciating the exercise and the way it makes my body feel just for its sake, and not, bringing in negativity or positivity from all of these different other things, has been really, really good for me. And I've absolutely been enjoying the exercise part of it. So that makes me really happy, and it makes me hopeful that I'm going to be able to make it stick. So that's the exercise piece. As far as the diet thing, I told you at the beginning of August that I decided that I was just going to take a break from like the nutrition, diet tweaks and experiments and all that stuff that I had been doing. I learned a lot over those couple of months, and I've learned a lot coming out of doing all of those experiments and kind of seeing how my body is handling going back to eating just kind of normally, without tracking or anything like that. So I've just been in a time of experiencing what's happening. And so, like I said, my appetite has been stimulated. I haven't been able to, like, I thought that I was gonna throw in like these ketogenic days, like I had been doing my ketone boost challenge and all of that. I thought I'd be throwing in days like that every once in a while. I found then really quickly that with the intensity of the exercise that I was doing, my appetite was stimulated to the degree that I couldn't stick to what I know helps my ketones get a little higher. So I've kind of just put that tool away for now, and I'm just focusing on eating lots of protein. When in doubt, I always go back to protein. Like, it's been really good for me to experiment with the more ketogenic side and see what, how those ketones make me feel and all of that. But then when in doubt, I always go back to the protein, because I know how much that satiates me, and it helps me not gain too much weight. Because if I'm like trying to keep my protein down when my appetite is super stimulated, that means I'm going to be eating more fat, because I'm not letting myself starve. I'm beyond that. I did that for too many years. So if I'm trying to keep my protein down in order to get the ketones, that means I need to really amp up the fat or carbs, obviously, like something else. And I don't feel well when I do that. My satiety just kind of goes out the window when my appetite is stimulated from the exercise. So for me, when I'm doing all of that exercising, and I'm feeling that appetite stimulation, going back to protein is like my safe space, because protein is very satiating, and it really does help me when I keep that protein percentage a little bit higher. It really does help me from like packing on pounds when my appetite is stimulated. So I've just been eating, I haven't really been tracking. I've just been focusing on eating lots of protein and not overdoing either carbs or fat, and just basically just trying to live and kind of get through this adaptation period of getting into the exercise and kind of figuring out where my baseline is going to be as I make these habits my new normal. So I'm kind of just in a flux, and my mind, you know, I do still struggle with like thinking, when I do see the scale go up, or I do, you know, feel like I'm getting puffier or whatever it is, I do like, there's that knee-jerk reaction, like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to starve myself? You know, and for me, that doesn't typically turn into actually doing anything. It's just more those thoughts that come into my head. Like, I got to do something about this. I need to do, like, immediately, like, this is not something I can let go. And just kind of quieting those down, like recognizing that they're there and just quieting it down and speaking truth to, you know, the situation. Like, I'm getting my body used to exercising. I'm gaining muscle. I know I'm gaining muscle. Like, all of these are good things. This is a short-term thing that's going on, and I'm learning, and like all this stuff that I'm still working through, like in my own mind. So that's basically where I'm at. There's no like groundbreaking decisions or changes or anything. It's just, I'm just in that learning phase, just living phase, just trying to figure out how to function in regular everyday life while incorporating the healthy habits of exercise, and then figuring out how to eat to support that and to keep my body as healthy as possible. I am thinking about doing something in September as far as like a reset. I've talked about this for years and years, because I used to do Whole30s. Actually, in August, I would do a Whole30 in August because it was kind of our quiet month of the year and I didn't have a lot going on. This year, I think September is going to be kind of that more low-key month for us. And so I was thinking about trying to do something in September as far as a reset or a challenge. I've been learning about like dopamine and how sweet tastes can trigger the dopamine, and if you can kind of reset that, it can enhance, you know, how your body interprets dopamine. I'm not explaining this at all correctly, but just there's some different things that I've been hearing about that make me curious to do some kind of a reset. Kind of like people who drink alcohol oftentimes will do a dry month just to make sure that they're not too dependent on it, just to do that cleanse, to make sure you're not addicted or whatever. And so thinking about trying to do something like that, maybe with dairy, or maybe with like, you know, keto treats or something like that, just kind of break it down to the basics for a little bit, but trying to figure out what kind of a reset would be right for me, because it's kind of something you can build for yourself. Like, there's lots of great resets out there, carnivore or BBBE or whatever, and those are great places to start. But as you do more and more of those kind of things, you can kind of figure out what works for you and what doesn't, and you can kind of build your own reset, which is kind of what I'm thinking towards doing, but I haven't made any solid decisions on that yet. Anyways, that is it for this Wellness Wednesday. I hope you guys are all doing great. Let me know how you're doing in your journey. If you're like gung-ho, like on some super strict path or experiment, I would love to hear about that. If you're just living life, trying to figure out how to incorporate these healthy habits in a way that you can sustain for the next 50 years, I'd love to hear that as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.